Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and I'm here to review Christy, and this is a new sports biopic coming to you from director David Michôd, who made Animal Kingdom, as well as The Rover, and this is from Michôd and co-writer Mira Fawkes from a story from Catherine Fugate, and this does focus on the story of acclaimed and renowned women's boxer Christy Martin, who really put women's boxing on the map. And here played by Sydney Sweeney, and her trainer slash husband, Jim, played by Ben Foster. And this particular film certainly leans into a lot of tropes and structures and presentations that we expect from sports biopics and biopics in general. One big thing, this film's 2 hours and 15 minutes. Could have been a little tighter. There's definitely some spaces where it feels like it's lagging a bit and could have been focused a little bit more. But the presentation-wise, this film, a big part of this, it's about boxing. It has boxing fights, and I think the choreography feels very naturalistic and raw, and it does feel visceral and does add some intensity to the film. I do feel like you watch this film and there's some inspired choices during those moments, but overall it's very just like crisp, well shot, nothing too fancy, occasional inspired and dynamic shot or camera movement or something, and overall it's just, well put together. And the technical aspects, they work. Michôd brings them together well. But I do feel like one of the biggest issues with this film is tone. There's times when this feels like very rah-rah, kind of like underdog, inspiring sports movie, and then other times where you watch a man stab his wife and shoot her, and you're just like gutted and just feel that intensity, unnerving environment. But they don't balance out well. And I think the tonal shifts in this film are a little too extreme. And in general, though, this film it's well put together. And it certainly is watchable and engaging in that kind of way that, you'll sit through the 2 hours and 15 minutes and it doesn't feel that long. Then you have, story-wise, it does hit a lot of those very expected kind of beats. It does feel like it, hits greatest hits elements of the story instead of really fleshing things out. I think character-wise, there's some standout characters. Like, obviously, Christy has a lot of layers and complexities, and how this film navigates her being a lesbian, hiding that fact, and, taking that out on other women, you feel that. And I think that's portrayed very impactfully in the film. I do feel like this film plays a little safe at times. And, there are moments certainly where it's bloody and violent and uncomfortable to watch. And I think Michôd does a good job of committing to that. From a writing perspective, I do feel like this film feels way too much like your any old sports biopic and leaning too heavily into those types of things. From a performance standpoint, Sydney Sweeney delivers an empathetic, committed, confident, and brash performance that really captures the essence of Christy Martin and her mannerisms and all these little elements and the physicality. She bulked up, she looks the part. She's, smaller, so definitely an underdog type of story, but really works. Ben Foster is certainly under a bunch of makeup and hair and costuming, but he crafts a character that is subtle, is reserved, but there's a menace, there's a terror behind those eyes, and I think Ben Foster captures that so well, as he's done in so many other roles, where you get a sense that Jim is a very dangerous man and somebody that, Christy's not going to want to mess with. And Foster embodies that so perfectly well, adding layers to this character. Another big standout is Merritt Weaver, who plays Christy's mom, who's insufferable, horrible, judgmental, and you just feel that, and Weaver captures that very well. And, there's a few other standout performances. One in particular that really stands out is Chad L. Coleman, who plays Don King. And Don King, bigger, larger than life, but also there's some moments where he's intimidating. And you're sitting there like, oh, it's a little bit intense. And I think really overall this film is well put together. It tells the story it wants to, gets those things across, and not a ton of flair, but it works, and it delivers. But those are my thoughts on Christy. Let me know what you think, and let's talk some movies. But thank you as always for tuning in and supporting your Wasteland reviewer.